at a young age in elementary school and get into their minds and have them visualizing and fantasizing about what their life and what their future could be. Because once you get to 18, 19 years old, you're done dreaming. If you never learned how to use your imagination, if you wasn't blessed with the time to be able to learn your personality and do what you do, if you never had that opportunity, you're going to struggle in life. So we have to help our people with these struggles. But for a anti-lynching bill to be signed in 2022, that's a sign that we really have not had any progress. The Willie Lynch letter was written all the way back in 1725. And lynch comes from the modest slave owner from the West Indies that was brought to these United States of America to teach our American citizens how to make a slave. And it was literally brought in by the Southerners. But slavery was legal. We only had 13 colonies at the time. So how to make a slave. And then for Joe Biden to sign that bill in 2022, that's the devil setting us up for a blessing. Because Joe Biden just confirmed that the science of Willie Lynch is real. And you will see the aftermath and I wouldn't say the backlash, but the tidal wave, the tsunami that's coming, that's going to use this act in which he thought that he was just doing it, but somebody is looking out for us. So this is the opportunity of a lifetime that we're going to utilize it. This is why it's starting to look like Generation X has to start to come into power, because the baby boomers, our baby booming brothers, I speak to them every day, have literally pitched their tent. They're waiting for some missionaries to come so they can impress the missionaries. And the missionary says, good boy, job well done. And they're going to give them some money or something. And they're going to use that money for themselves and their families and sprinkle a little bit to us. But they're not going to move the culture. So if we're going to move the culture, it's going to have to be our generation. Because if there was a situation where bombs start coming over here to America and we had to fight, I know I'm going to have to fight. And I'm sure that they're going to give a certain age group a pass. This is why when you talk to older men and women, they talk about, fighting the system that took care of them, the system that aided and abetted their success, the system that helped them become who they are through their education. They're telling us that we have to fight that system. We're not going to fight nobody. We just had a president who basically called himself a deal maker. And we didn't even have a deal to make with this president because the Democratic Party made sure that we do not conversate with any entity that will actually give us a sense of hope or a sense of freedom, from a physical perspective, from a verb, not a person, place, a thing, but an action word. See, Democrats basically just use words because they're documenting history. And I hear all these people say, it's a war of images and all of this. But have we looked deeper into that surface? We just going by what other people say and we just moving on. Yeah, it's a war of images, but this is a revolution that is being televised. That's basically what it is in a nutshell. Because back in the day, the revolution will not be televised because they didn't anticipate cameras. They didn't anticipate digital feeds. They didn't anticipate cell phones. Well, everyone has an instant camera in their pocket. So now nothing goes under the radar. So back then, the revolution will not be televised. But now the revolution will be televised. We're looking at it in plain sight. But if we do not have skin in the game, then we will basically ride this cruise ship straight to hell. Now, if the devil came out the ground, slapped you and tried to pull you back in hell, would you chase him to hit him back? I hope not. So this is why Chris Rock is still standing. That situation was weird, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's one of the distractions. But one thing I do understand that people are looking at it and, have their objection. You got some people, that's what he gets. Some people saying that's not right. But Wanda Sykes was literally on Ellen yesterday, literally crying, saying it was an all black production. She was a host. She was one of the 3 hosts that came out. It was a black production. Will Packard, the first time he ever produced the Oscar, and this was the Oscars, and this was the first time that there was a all black ensemble, meaning there was a all black orchestra, cameraman, the whole nine. So literally, Wanda Sykes broke it down like, we invited you guys into our house, and you got an opportunity to see something like that. So Will Smith is not a part of us. He's a part of a society that actually benefits from him financially. So this is why they are slow to make a decision on what they're going to do, because stories are coming out right now, and they said that Will Smith was asked to leave the Oscars after the fact, but he refused to do so. He refused to do so. But that's all we're going to talk about with that. But fear. God did not create the spirit of fear, and he did not write, and he's not the author of confusion. So anytime that I talk to a black man, and I talk to black men every day, they're so scared. And I'm saying baby boomers, older black men. It's not that they're scared. It's that they're comfortable. And I have to really look at it from their perspective, because if I was in my 70s, I probably would be trying to, keep my AARP check coming, keep my medical going, keep these benefits that the government gives to people. OK, but before then, we got work to do. We can and we will. We can and we will. Now, let me go ahead and reset the room. Hey, what up, America? This your man, Bouchon Glover. You have just tuned into A Better Black America podcast, the #1 urban podcast stateside and worldwide. Now, Biden is lying. Now, today, we're talking about what we have missed over the last few days with the slap, with the Ukraine war, which is some grand distractions in the midst of. There was a Crown Act sign, which, there's no discrimination on hairdos at the workplace. And typically, during the interview process. And then the Anti-Lynching Emmett Till bill, Joe Biden signed into law, which is a sign of saying that it's a little too late, because it's nothing that we feel victorious about. Nothing, because we really see what's going on, because the inflation, the gas, all of this stuff is distracting us from what's really going on. Now, if you missed it, Biden basically said out of his mouth over this past weekend when he was speaking to people in Ukraine, and he was in Brussels, and he was outside, and he was yelling and screaming, and he said, the dictator, Vladimir Putin, he cannot remain in power. And I was like, whoa, start the engines. Regime change, here we come. Sounds like Saddam Hussein to me. So now they about to run and chase and get him. But come to find out, he didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. Because the Pentagon saw right after that happened, Vladimir Putin turned the heat up in Russia and started shooting civilian targets moments after Joe Biden said that. Because the words that he heard, he thought that Biden meant what he said. Because when you're the president of the United States, you are actually one of the most powerful people in the world. Now, in the United States, is Nancy Pelosi. She's the Speaker of the House, because she has to, get laws to change by people to, agree or disagree or become, work in a bipartisan situation or a nonpartisan situation. But when you're the president of the United States, your words hold weight. Now, if you go back to George W. Bush, he said Saddam Hussein, the same words. Saddam Hussein cannot remain in office. And then came back on CNN and we watched the shock and awe of those missiles going after. And then they found Saddam Hussein hiding in a underground bunker. He lost a whole lot of weight and all this. And then they basically covered his face up and they killed him. So when Joe Biden said the same thing, the whole world reacted, and regime change and nation bill, nuclear reaction, engines start starting up. Joe Biden not understanding that his words hold all weight. And then all week and even yesterday in his press conference, I didn't mean that. What you mean you didn't mean it, Joe? You the president of the United States. You talk about regime change a nation bill. No, I was talking to the Ukrainian people. Well, you don't talk to just the Ukrainian people, bruh. You talk to the world. You don't remember that you the president and not a congressman or a senator? Because even in that same meeting, he said, back when I was coming up over 100 years ago, literally, I heard that man say out of his mouth, back 100 years ago when I was in Congress, 100 years ago, Joe, really? Do you know how old you are? We know you wasn't back there 100 years ago. In 2022, you was a congressman. I mean, in 1922. 1922, bro. No, come on now. So Biden is literally a pawn to the family. Okay. Now there's rival families, there's conservatives and there's liberal. So clearly the liberals pretty much own Joe, because any and everything that Congress tried to impeach Donald Trump with, President Donald Trump with, and with collusion and all of this, and nothing came out of it. Joe Biden is on record doing the same exact thing. So it's just a matter of time. And then they're just waiting for the right opportunity to put his son information out there. Because Hunter Biden, if you didn't know what's going on, but Google Hunter Biden's name, he's trending. I'm gonna wait and see what happens, because like I said, I'm not an ambulance chaser. I'm motivated, inspired, through, a divine spirit, hopefully in the name of Jesus, to basically respond to things that affect the masses. Because like I said, it's not about flesh and blood, it's about powers and principalities. So if you understand the game, then you got to put the checkerboard up and start playing chess. When you play chess, it's strategic. You're thinking 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. And if you basically stick this out there, put a move out there, you want them to follow you to open up something else. So this is a game of chess that we're playing as nonpartisan independents. So go to conservativeamerica-COA.org, and we're doing this with your nickels and your pennies. We haven't really started a fundraiser, but we're going to push an initiative. And once we start and get everything in writing, and once we're ready to roll, we're going to push a presidential candidate. We're going to push an abolishment bill to abolish the criminalization clause in the 13th Amendment. So literally amending a bill to basically change what's really going on, because it seems like our political car was built without a Cadillac converter. But we know and understand that the car that we want to drive, we want it to be quiet and to run smooth, because we've had cars like that, electric and, the Lax and, the big SUVs. We had it all and they run smooth. But you're trying to get us to take this new car without a Cadillac converter, and it sounds, worse than a damn dirt bike motorcycle. We don't want that. We hear it. It doesn't sound right. So we know it doesn't have a Cadillac converter on it. But why are you trying to act like this is what we're supposed to get? Because that Cadillac converter is stopping us from being comfortable, stopping us from literally being equal to all the nice sounding cars out there. And I'm using the Cadillac converter as a metaphor, as a piece missing. So now that we know that piece is missing, we need to go back, because we have a factory defect, or a car is dysfunctioning from a factory default. So now we're trying to turn our car back in and to put a new Cadillac converter on there. So that's basically amending the 13th Amendment for us, because now we get to be equal on a federal and state level, socially and economically, because based on what's going on right now, crime still pays. You have Rick Caruso is running for mayor of Los Angeles, and all we see right now on television where Rick Caruso will stop crime. We don't want another crime bill. Hillary Clinton said it herself that they pushed it too far. Joe Biden, I don't know if he apologized, but he wrote that bill, and that bill literally decapitated Black America and it killed